Hi, agents, and welcome back to the Age of Independence. I'm Katlyn Eggar, your host, and thanks for tuning into the show. We're talking all about the wave of opportunity that's available to you in the independent world and how you can grow and scale your agency in the modern market without losing the heart and soul of your agency. So if you're newer to the show, thanks for tuning in and catching up on this great content we have coming out. I'm super excited for you to meet the guests that we have today. And if you haven't had a chance to hit subscribe yet, make sure that you follow so you can get those little alerts on your phone Monday mornings when new content pops up from the show. And thanks for joining us. I want to welcome our special guest to the show today. Kat, how are you?
I am good. Loving life in Columbus, Ohio. This is like the nicest time of the year for us, is that first few days that you're, kind of getting into fall. So
totally.
We're back at the office a little. So like team is coming around and everybody comes in the morning, a little slow to wake up because it's chilly and they have their coffee, and it's like the best time of the year in every sense,
It doesn't feel like that in Texas yet, but I see it happening on the calendar. So it's still in the 90s here. We don't have that crisp fall like feeling in the air yet, but Facebook and Instagram keep showing me like fall fashion in my newsfeed. So I know it's coming. And
we've only had it, I would say, like the last week or so. So we're not terribly far ahead of you.
It's just starting.
Oh God, so hot and so miserable, like, a high pressure zone or something, like sat and just dumped heat and too much sunshine, and everything was just way too toasty in Columbus. So we're not done with summer yet, but it's like that glimmer of hope. Like it feels like back to school season, It's just,
it does.
It's reminiscent. It's just nice.
It does. And Kat, you have, you're familiar with the Agency Intelligence platform. You've chatted with the other podcast hosts before, so make sure that you catch Kat's recent episode with Ryan Hanley. And you're with AgencyZoom. So tell us about your title, your role there, and a little bit about AgencyZoom. I know a lot of our listeners are familiar, but in case some of them are new to your platform, Quantum has been big fans of AgencyZoom for a long time. And in fact, Tolga was the first person that I interviewed on the podcast when it launched about a year ago now. So I'm super excited to come full circle and invite you on the show.
Oh my God, that's so fun. Tolga is actually how I got exposed to AgencyZoom. I was at a conference years ago at one of the first insurtechs I was at, and this crazy Turkish man comes up and like takes my steamer like off the table because he's, completely fantastic and so high energy and just like very attentive to detail. And he needed to steam his background of his booth and like his to make it like package check or something. So that was how we first met, and I got involved then in 2019 at the end of the year. The team was ready to expand into the independent channel, and they were just, looking for someone that was going to lead sales at the time. They're like, Tolga, awesome at it. Mo was running a lot of the demos. The two of them would still host like all group demos. We had a huge footprint in the All-State channel, and they were looking for somebody that had, been there, done that in the independent channel. So I came on and started with sales, and slowly but surely, almost every like 6 months, somehow acquired another business unit that like sales was either like tripping over or dominoing into, and they're like,
yes.
Kat, you should do that. And I'm like, okay. Or I'm like, guys, why are we doing it that way? And they're like, well, great question. Like, why don't you fix it? Like, so through me being nosy and inquiring and, us just growing at the rate we have, we've been bringing on about 200 new agencies a month since the beginning of 2020.
Woo! Congratulations.
Yeah, so, the sales team started about a month after I did, got them recruited and got them into place. And it took them about a month to get up to steam because it was December. Everybody's out on holiday, they're in and out, they're learning. So it took them a little bit to get going. But I mean, pretty much after that, we have been on the move. And, that has obviously greatly impacted how our business functions. And, whose responsibility was it to make sure that customers are successful? What's the difference between customer success versus customer support?
Wow.
Marketing, when you have that many clients, there's a big difference between current client marketing and, just bringing on new sales marketing, new labels. So yeah, it's been It's been a fun stretch. We're right near my 2-year anniversary in the nut house here.
Congratulations. Happy 2-year anniversary. And you just keep getting more responsibility thrown in your lap. So it must be a sign that you just have the magic touch when it comes to all things sales and marketing and people operations.
We'll see. Let's hope. Haven't messed up anything too badly yet. If you talk to Mo, admittedly, he'd say that I don't buy people their computers fast enough. And oh my God, I hate every administrative task around HR. Love recruiting, think it's so fun. But as soon as they get there and he's like, Kat, so-and-so is going to need a monitor. Like they don't want to just work off of their laptop. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can get them one of those. So yeah, that's really fun. Or like how you collect like passports and stuff like on their first day to like confirm that they're a citizen or like have a US work visa. Like those are all.
Oh, that admin work will just suck the energy right out of you. So.
Yeah, it takes all the fun of recruiting and just makes it like very administrative. So yeah, admittedly, there are things I've bumped into that I don't love or don't execute on as thoroughly, but all in all, it's been very, very fun. And I'm very grateful, for the opportunity that the co-founders gave me. I very early on in being here, joined the leadership team with the 3 of them. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
That's so exciting. And I want to hear all about it because you guys just keep growing and growing and reinventing yourselves. And I just love seeing the new projects that you're working on. One of the things that you mentioned is recruiting. And that's a topic that I really haven't delved into on the Age of Independence yet. And I don't know how we made it a whole year, listeners, without really diving into recruiting, because it's a integral part of team building, growing and scaling. And it's something that I love being a part of at Quantum as well. And I know that you've taken kind of a unique approach to it. So tell us a little bit about your team culture at AgencyZoom, because I feel like you guys have a really unique vibe and it seems like it'd be a pretty cool place to work.
Yeah. So team culture wise, a lot of it comes from like recruiting I'm going to call it the ballpark of the right people at the beginning, because day one, when I got here, I had a month before I needed my first 5 sales hires. And you can bet I was not about to like go wrong with that. Those are such early key hires that I was going to bring in like the best people for the job. And then we took the time about middle of last year to really carve out what our core values were. And that has dramatically impacted like the company culture across different business units. Sales no longer outright at odds with marketing, marketing not feeling like they weren't supporting customer success and customer support, like having a good handoff. Those things all came from our core values. But before we were able to even establish those, not that we didn't still have a compass in hand and know what direction we were going in, but before we could really establish those, we had to figure out what's on our, likes list, what's on our love list, what's on our not doing that again list. It's kind of like dating. Like, we kind of had to date some employees to figure out like, oh, you never shave your beard. Like that's on the no list for me. Like, I don't like scruffy burn. Like, that's a no for me. So that was kind of like where we started. And then we established now 7 core values, which all of our teams operate on, and they do peer reviews every quarter. So there's no, your manager feels one way, your manager's manager feels another way, or you feel one way about your performance. It's not your actual KPIs. It's all reflective on your core values.
Wow.
And they do that. And then their manager reviews that with them. And then I review with the manager, like how their team is trending. Do you have somebody on your team that's just constantly at odds, or Caitlin and Kat just always cat fighting with each other. Like, we take care of that kind of stuff during those. And then after the managers have gone through it and looked at the trends on their teams, their team members, rate their performance very similarly to those core values. So
ooh, that sounds intense.
Yeah. It's an awakening.
How does the team feel about it?
I think they remember that there's more to your job than just showing up. Like our support team is held to responding on average in 3 minutes, and that they have to have a 95% CSAT score. They have metrics. My sales team has quota, My marketing team knows how many leads have to hit our website that are new and how many have to attend a demo. They have those metrics, and those are black and white, you know, aside from something obviously being dramatic, that it truly impacts their life. And, you know, we would have some grace through that. Those are black and white. This core value portion, though, is what makes your team have faith in the leadership team and have faith that the company is growing in a direction that they want to stay a part of it. Or on the opposite side of it, that it helps them identify that they're maybe not a good fit. You know, if I'm an average performer on the sales team, and then I get my core values 360 review from my peers, and my peers are all like, Kat's okay. And my quota is, Kat's okay. It's going to kind of dawn on me in a different way without ever having to have those sheer, you're not a good fit, we need to part ways conversations. It allows somebody to better orient themselves around, I'm allowed to be okay in this environment, but that might mean this is not a long-term fit for me. And it gives us a chance to either coach them up or coach them out without it being attached to one specific thing. Because like, how often do you have somebody who's an average performer on paper and you say, God, they just show up with a bad attitude every day. Like, yeah, you're meeting your expectations on your numbers, but you're just a brat. Like, you're difficult, you know? Or vice versa. You can have some people that are exceptional performers, you know, rock star salespeople we hear about all the time that have a chip on their shoulder and are just turds. Like, this takes care of a lot of those problems. Like, great job, 120% of quota. You got a average of a 1 out of 5 stars on your peer reviews. Like, this is still not going to work out. Sorry.
Whoa. So the first time you rolled this out, what was the team's response? Were they a little like on edge about like hearing their peers' honest feedback? I know you keep it confidential, but still having to hear those things is probably hard for everyone.
We coached our managers on it a lot, because the managers are the ones that say like, hey, Kat, this is what, you know, your team thinks of you. So we coached our managers on it a lot. The other thing, you know, kind of getting back to the concept of dating, our 7 core values were established by our team. So we did an activity that focuses on their best life experiences and their worst life experiences. So like highs and lows. And then we had them rate, you know, in your lows, what values were devoid: an absence of family, an absence of community, an absence of money. You know, it might be any common thing. What things, when you were having your highest of highs, getting accepted to college, you know, playing your varsity football game, like what types of things were there? Camaraderie, you know, teamwork, trust, passion, like execution. Like, all right, what are those things? So they gave us those, and then we narrowed those down to commonalities. And then we built them into a business process. So those 7 core values were really built by the team. So that's where like the dating environment, to like get some people in the room at least, was important, because from there on out, it really has been driven by them now that we had identified the people that we wanted to build our core values in our company around. So they set the metrics that they then set themselves accountable to. And there are still times, like I said, we trained our managers a lot on it. There are still plenty of times that it's uncomfortable, but there's quite a lot of honesty to that discomfort, you know? Well, you picked it. You said you wanted to be measured in inches instead of centimeters. It's your ruler. You know, you've decided what it means to be here and means to you. You're now going to be held accountable, you know, to your own measurements.
So what are these 7 core values? Can you unveil them for us?
Yeah. Am I allowed to swear? I know the first one, but that's
if it's a core value, I guess we.
We're recruiting our entrepreneurship cohort. We just finished up recruiting and had their first day. And I had a Christian university ask me to amend it. And they said, can we bleep this out? They're like, we'll just put underscore, 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 underscore. And I'm like, no, you can't bleep it out. You're going to make it worse. It's give a shit.
Okay.
And I'm like, but if you bleep out give a shit to give a blank, blank, blank,
they're gonna think it's something else.
Yeah, it could get a lot worse. I'm like, let's just take that one off, I guess. So yeah,
but if you guys pick that one because it just clears the fog and it's like, guys, let's be real. We're not gonna dance around it. Like we're here to take this seriously.
It was frank. The level of candor of saying shit, you know, is like, I guess we're not going to be demure and embarrassed by what we're talking about. It's, it's shit, give a shit. So yeah, that was one of them. Another one that I have really liked is master your craft. So this idea that you're continuing to pursue whatever your endeavor is was really cool. Make life epic. I fought for that one. They're all 3 words. I fought really hard for make life epic. We give our team a $500 bonus every year to go do something they've never done before. So like one was her kids to the aquarium, because she's like, if it was up to me, I can't afford a hotel room for all, like she's got 3 kids. I can't afford to like take them to this very nice aquarium and like take a day off work. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's on your like, I wish I would list, but you just never quite get to it because there's that, a lot of times like a $500 or so barrier to, that's just a little pricey. So make life epic is, you show up and you work really hard and we're really grateful. Let's take things off the list, the I wish I could list, and like really make something out of it. So I love that one. And that was one where we could obviously set up incentivization to make sure our team followed through on it based off of obviously
That's cool.
how much time they do. So give a shit, master your craft, make life epic, do the unexpected. I'm a total weirdo. You and I have talked enough now. Probably some amount of the people listening know that. So do the unexpected is like not only just going above and beyond, but like approaching things in a quirkier, like more unique way and looking at it through that lens.
Like what can I do differently that no one else is doing? What can I bring to this that's fresh and creative?
Yeah, for sure. Figure it out. That one, I don't want to say self-explanatory, but sometimes people, wait on someone else to answer. And not that we want people to rush to a conclusion, but I do want you to actually spend some time trying to figure it out. The more stressful the process is to figure something out, that gives me feedback as a leader in our organization that we have to better support you. We have to create a better process. So the value of figuring it out for yourself, not all the way through, but at least figuring it out or making an attempt to is pretty important. Keeping it simple. That was one that we like put out there for our users at the rate we're growing. And the fact that our space, like AgencyZoom, we talk about it here and there, and Ryan made fun of me when I visited with him. We're not really a CRM. We are, but that's kind of boring. It's like, CRMs run reports. Well, what do you do with reports? You download them, you print them off, and people call down them. Like, no, that's not what we do. So keeping it simple as we begin to like expand all this functionality, think of defining a category for ourselves felt really important. And then there's one more, and it's give a shit, master your craft, figure it out, make life epic, keep it simple, do the unexpected. Oh, speak your mind. That,
it's always that last one that escapes me too on our I'm like, what again?
I'm missing something. We have this like little rotary dial that's got a little emoji on it that of course I love. You can't tell which one's my favorite, So like, yes, it's speak your mind. And that's, whether it's on behalf of one of our users or talking to your manager, there's nobody, obviously we have to have organizational structure, but there's nobody necessarily more important than anyone else. Like, so whether it's, hey, you're being a turd and you're frustrating, or like, hey, I need your help on this, like getting it out there and like speaking through and working through your thoughts to us is just, fundamental at the rate that we're growing. Again, like a lot of this is based off of how fast we're moving as a company, our growth, and making sure people are growth oriented or who are joining us. If somebody here's figure it out and they're a corporate person and they like to have their little process and their little regiment, it's going to self-select, they're going to be like, oh God, that's a lot of ambiguity. I need out of here. I think they lined up really well, and the team gets rated. They do their peer reviews and they rate on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 is you negatively impact your whole team. 2 would be you're negatively impacting me. 3 is you're, I think, positively impacting me. 4 is you're positively impacting the team. And 5 is you're positively impacting the company. So it's already a weighted scale. Like if you're a 1 and you're negatively impacting your team, there is no opportunity to be a 0 and to negatively impact the company. We're going to have a lot of conversation if you're a 1 already. if it's a 2, you're negatively impacting me, that can just be people rubbing each other the wrong way, and you're going to have some mix again, as you get bigger and bigger, that personalities are going to collide, so we can shrug off a 2. I expect people to be in the 3 range of you're positively impacting me as your coworker. 4s are great. You're positively impacting your team. That's how I can look at somebody and say you're managerial, material. You're somebody who we can make a team lead, a player coach environment. And then you're positive impacting the company means when I think about how you're doing, I think about you making a positive impact with a different team. If you're on marketing, you're helping the sales team. If you're on sales, you're helping the customer success team. You are going outside of your job duties that your manager normally assesses you at, and you're doing something else for someone else that it doesn't really pay off. It's not just a direct payoff in the same way.
Absolutely. And they all work together so much. But what you said that stood out to me was what the startup environment is like for your company and this fast growth culture that you have, and how some people just aren't going to thrive in that kind of atmosphere. And I absolutely love the startup world. My husband and I love insurance startups. It's so fun starting something new, and you just, you don't reach a lot of those phases where things feel stale or boring or super duper predictable. And it can feel so adventurous, and you get to tackle new things and climb new mountains. But that comes at a price. That comes with, growing pains and having to just figure things out sometimes. So if you had to describe what it's like working in the startup world, how would you boil that down to a nutshell and describe it to someone?
Overworked and understaffed. It's true. Like you said, even like my role here, I have taken on new responsibilities because they were an opportunity for us to grow and for me to get a lot of experience. It is not uncommon. I was in our office today at 6:30 in the morning, and I am not done with my day until 9 o'clock tonight. I have my last meeting with a West Coast agency at 5 o'clock. It's going to go an hour, and I'm not going to be done till 9. I love it. And there are people that are going to love it. And there are going to be people that are absolutely wonderful people, and they're going to hate it. And that does not change, the quality of human being they are. It just means they're not great for a startup. And the understaffed part is like a whole thing in and of itself, especially if you're bootstrapped, which is we are. We never took any external investment or anything.
Congratulations.
We're always so cautious because you don't want to hire somebody and then have them lose their job. You don't want to make a hire that you say, well, I think we need this person, so let's hire them and see how it goes. And then 6 months in, you're like, you're an awesome person, but we can't afford you. We don't actually need you. You don't ever want to have to make that choice. On startups, you recruit so heavily on the pedigree of your leader, the company and its values. As soon as you bring somebody in that shares your values, and the deficit is that you didn't do everything else to have that value commonality, and that the leader didn't have their back, you lose all of that instantaneously. I can't pay the biggest paycheck. I no means are every single one of my people like ritzy, and living like the fanciest life. It's not always the glamorous things that we see on LinkedIn, where somebody gets VC funding and gets $50 million. It's not always that. And I think that's where we actually can I don't want to say commiserate, but feel very similar to our agencies. You guys also, we struggle as agencies even to decide when's it time to hire. We don't get big VC checks, as agency owners either. So I think that's probably one of the things that, we can share. There have been moments we put off hiring on our customer support team for a little while, hoping we'd be back from COVID. I will admit, I made the wrong call there. I was hoping we'd be able to bring the team in and we'd get to recruit in person again, which we do better in person. I thought we would get to train them in person, which our product is very elaborate. So to train people that then can regurgitate training to you guys is hard. And I'm like, all right, we only have 1 more month in COVID. Nope. All right, 2 more months. Come on, we can do it. By the time I recruit these people and bring them on and they give a 2 weeks notice, it'll be fine. We made the wrong call. And then my team that was here, they had to be really bought in because admittedly, they were overworked. They were covering for extra people. They were working longer hours. They weren't able to hit their 3-minute response time KPI. So yeah, I think that I don't think it's shameful. I think it's like the reality of it, but understaffed and overworked is very much it. And then when it's time to recruit, it's like really time to recruit. Like, get your shit together. Let's go.
Woo, let's go. Yeah, I love that passion. And that's the reality of it, Kat. I mean, sometimes it's not easy and it's not glamorous, but you're doing something big. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of pride that comes into like, wow, that was really hard and we did it. And that sense of accomplishment that you get, because you're not just trying to keep a ship that was already afloat, just like chilling. You're not treading water. Somebody didn't hand you a giant company on a silver platter. We're building something new that gets greater and greater every single day. And so it's just totally worth it to put up with those moments that really suck and the parts that are really hard and the moments where it's like, oh, this is not fun. Because at the end of the day, when you do finish something that was really, really hard, honestly, I think you feel a lot better about it than when we just do something monotonous or mundane.
Yeah, I get the startup high, had it today, admittedly, talking about recruiting and stuff. We struggled to recruit customer support. I love salespeople. I can go find a salesperson any day of the week. I know how to motivate a salesperson. I have my own sales career to lean back into and say, listen, I was successful. I'll make you me. I can do that. Support, they live off the grid. I can't find them to bother them and say hey, let's even go get coffee or drinks and talk. What motivates them is much different. They are normally a more consistent person. Mm-hmm. It seems like that's what we've done well with, at least. So we, procrastinated hiring, not in a sense of just not getting it done, but thinking that it was going to be the right decision. And then we struggled to hire it. We struggled to find good candidates that we felt really confident in at first. So it took from April 20th, it was my husband's birthday, all the way until about a month ago for us to find 5 people that we said, we're going to hire these new 5 people. They're going to get along. They're going to be impactful. And they're going to change the way that we even vision our customer support team. I then learned also from the mistake of oh, this is really difficult to hire. And we built now an entrepreneurship cohort. So I said, if I can't find these people, God damn it, I'm going to make these people. So we brought in a cohort now of 9 juniors and seniors to intern with us. Wow. And they're going to rotate between our marketing team, our sales team, our customer success and support team. They get invited back every semester as they age out. If they've done 2 semesters with us, we're guaranteeing them a job. I'm going to try and get away from this overworked, understaffed environment. We'll see if I can get ahead of it. We're fortunate now that we have, a little money to play with that we could do that.
Totally.
Yeah. We're really excited about it. So now I'm, just making my own candidate pool because I'm good fishing in the marketing and the sales candidate pool. I am admittedly god awful in the customer support pool. So I'm I'll just start digging my own lake. The next time I need a fish, I'll go get it out of my own damn lake. So yeah, it's, again, that's kind of one of those worlds where I live by that do the unexpected and I'm just being weird, but I'm really excited. We asked our customers, our agencies that are in Ohio, we said, do you know somebody who's in college, and they're a business major, they're a communications major, graphic design, and they need experience, and they need to take things off their list as much as they need to put them on there. We said, do you guys know somebody? And out of the 9 people, 3 of them came from our agencies. One of my agencies sent in a girl that had played on his softball team. And he's wow. Absolutely wonderful. Coached her for years. She's so great. Love her. We had an agency owner that her daughter helps her over the summer with some marketing stuff. And she's a senior. She needs a resume booster that's not just working at mom's agency. Would love to talk to her. Very excited to have her on. And then we have one where the older sister has started her own agency in the captive environment. And she's my little brother is so great. He's a junior. I want to make sure he gets a good experience. And she's I'm kind of curious about what you guys are doing over in the independent space anyway. So I'm going to introduce you guys to my little brother and he'll be my mole about what's going on in the independent space. So it's fun. I'm really, really, really excited about, I guess digging my own pond again, because I'm a total loon and that's fun is create more, jobs and responsibilities for myself.
Well, you figured out that creative solution that's part of your core values. And one of the laws of leadership is you are who you attract. So if you are this influential, outgoing, extroverted salesperson who knows how to build sales teams, and that's just where you thrive, then recruiting for some other roles might not work the same way and come as naturally. So I think that's a takeaway for our listeners, is that different roles in your agency might have different natural talents and personality types and temperaments that are naturally drawn to that role. And so figuring out what type of person is going to be attracted to that role and how you're going to market that role for that person is going to make a huge difference. If you're hiring someone that's going to be focusing on quality assurance, compliance, carrier relationships, they might have a completely different personality than the person who is going to love on your clients and be your stable, consistent, like rock solid, just client nurturer person. And those two people might be a little different from your rock star salesperson. So I love that you're doing the peer reviews though, so that while everyone has the strengths where they're really, really strong, that you're also giving them time to hear about something they can work on, because we all want to be a little bit more well-rounded. Yeah. And, I think that's a really neat take on it.
I think people being self-aware too, of like, how am I viewed? What do I enjoy? Like gets to the root of like whether you're able to have an open, honest conversation that's in their best interest, you know? If it's just who am I and I'm the only person that views myself that way, I'm going to have a distorted sense of reality. If it's just how does everybody else view me and like their manager or their leader does not know how they view themselves, same thing. So even in this entrepreneurship cohort that we've built, we had them interview with me first. I was like the little 15-minute spiel intro, welcome to AgencyZoom bullshit. And then we had them pick. We said there's 3 managers. You're going to report to all 3 of them throughout the experience. But whatever team has the most ambiguity to it, that you're the least confident in, I want you to talk to that manager. What team is it? And they all got to pick. They said, I don't feel good about sales. I have no clue what sales is. It sounds scary. Or I'm a data analytics person and oh my God, marketing sounds so fluffy. I can't do it. So they talked to that manager. And then their last step of the interview was to talk to the person most like them. We had them talk to our closest recent grad in that department. So our sales team has somebody who's 2 years out of school. Our marketing team has a person that's just graduated, last spring. And then our customer success team also has somebody who just graduated in the spring on it. So that college student got a chance to like speak up for themselves. Like they got to hear what we were about. They got to self-identify of, this seems like a pond that I want to go swim in. And then they got to, say like, all right, I'm going to kind of run a litmus test here of, I don't know if I like this, or I just don't know about it, and meet a manager, somebody who can represent and articulate it well. And then they got to go meet the person that they are like most like, that they view themselves most similar to and would maybe most emulate. And they got to figure out like, is this a good fit for us? And is it a good fit for them? And how do we feel about that? And we still ended up with, almost 2 hands full worth of people. So that's pretty cool.
Congratulations. That's such a huge accomplishment. And I have one last question for you, Kat, because I know that just about any agency survey, agents are going to say that recruiting is one of the top 2 or 3 most challenging things for their agency. We know that we have to have the right people in the right seats. It's not always hard. It's not always easy to find them. And you do something that I think we can't downplay, and that's booking face-to-face appointments with your candidates. So can you just tell us like why you do that, at what stage of the process it's in? Because you're really excelling at bringing in people when you guys need to recruit. And I know that's a big step in the process.
Yeah. So I admit it's a little more sales and marketing heavy than it is our customer support team. And some of that also was our customer support team was being recruited in the middle of COVID. So
right.
Based on that change. But sales and marketing, I have coffee at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. Like Starbucks opens before local coffee shops here. Our like local coffee shops open at 7:30. So I will go to a Starbucks. I will sit and talk to somebody for 45 minutes at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
I will get in the car for 15 minutes and go over to my next little coffee place that's like closer to the office. I will sit there and talk to them for 45 minutes. And then my tush still shows up to my desk here at 9 a.m. Like I do not miss working hours because there's you know, Katlyn Quantum is not necessarily nearly as needy. You guys are beyond self-sufficient. But there's a lot of agencies between 9 to 5 that are like, Kat, where you at? And I'm like, oh God, guys. And I do the same thing after work. You know, if it's recruiting season, I'm out of here by 5:30. I'm going to my first set of drinks, 45 minutes. I am moving on by like 6:30, 7-ish to meet somebody else for drinks.
Wow.
Showing up to the meeting, their energy level, just that initial culture fit, what questions do they ask, and their willingness to do it outside of work hours tells me if they're going to fit a startup mentality. And from there, then kind of a similar process. We have them talk to the manager of the team we're recruiting with. And I help all my managers pretty heavily still recruit. They talk to their peer. They talk to the manager again. And then they talk to me for the actual job offer. And we go over financial stuff, benefits, all that kind of stuff.
So do you reach out to them on LinkedIn first? Is that how you first connect with them? You're like, I'll be at Starbucks at 6:30, meet me there.
I mean, it's a little, like I say like, hey, Katlyn, do you want to hang out? And then they're like, yeah, I guess, or no, please go away, you loon. But if they say, yeah, that's when, depending again, even on my knowledge around their experience, is what time I will meet with them. If I know the sales culture or the marketing culture, I will give them an easier time slot. Like I'll give them the 8 a.m. time slot. So I'm like, I don't have to put them to the test and know how motivated they are. I know their old boss, you know, somebody left that organization, and I know their old boss, and I know that person, you know, wouldn't have somebody that I wouldn't also feel comfortable with having on my team. For those that I'm testing, they get the like 6:30 a.m. or the 7 p.m. slot. And I'm like, if you show up with bells on for either of those 2 times,
it's really a good sign.
Great first impression. Yeah. So yeah, I'm a loon about it. Like when it comes time to recruit and we have open spots, again, in a non-COVID environment, it's 4 meetings a day outside of my 9 to 5. And my managers are doing the follow-up meeting a lot of times kind of on a similar schedule. You know, if it's a person we really want to woo, you know, it's an extremely key hire, they'll go to lunch or they'll go to dinner. But we maybe have 3 people right now that we hired to that degree. The rest of our team are, you know, coffee and drinks, one of the 2, and, you know, getting Zoom calls in and getting to meet people or talking to their future peers. It's not complicated. It's just a process that you have to stay consistent with.
So agents, I feel like Kat just kind of unraveled for us the secret to hiring the next top sales producer in your agency. And that is that you might not find that person on Indeed.
Oh my God, no. I list the customer support role on Indeed. If anyone is listening, accept Indeed. Indeed, if you'd like to sponsor me and give me thousands of dollars, we can amend my statement that's about to follow. Guys, Indeed is such trash. It is such trash. It is so frustrating. I have never had such a high no-show rate as I do on Indeed, that I set aside 30 minutes and the person does not even show up for their Zoom introduction. I have like a bone to pick with Indeed. I will say this, if you really ever need to recruit and you're working off of active candidates versus passive candidates, and you're listening to this right now, you're already behind. I have taught, like every single salesperson we've ever hired is a passive candidate. I have never taken in, we post the job and we'll talk to them, but I have never taken an active resume on our sales team. And I will not shy away from the fact that I am damn proud of that, because we are working day in and day out to go after the people that we know are the highest performers. And really great, successful salespeople don't normally leave their jobs. They're making good money. They're happy. They have freedom in their lifestyle because they're at 120% quota. Their boss doesn't care if they don't come in on Fridays to golf. You know, it doesn't matter. So the people I really want to grow my organization with are not active candidates, and they're definitely not active candidates on Indeed. I hate Indeed so much, so much.
So agents, we have to get on LinkedIn. We have to have an active LinkedIn profile. We have to be making connections, and let's take Kat's advice and invite some people out to Starbucks this week and see who we can meet and get face-to-face with, because there's no better sales tool for a candidate than just having a cup of coffee and talking to them about your agency, what you're doing to make an impact in your community, how you're making a difference. That's going to be inspiring to them. And there isn't anything you can say over email or any like phone interview situation that's going to sell your agency to them. Just like your personality will.
Yeah.
And so
I think the reality is too, and it's frustrating, but it's a real check here, is that in any given day, Katlyn, like you and I are technically competing with each other to recruit people.
dang.
But really though, like that sets in, like I want probably a very similar personality to what you guys want. Like Quantum is an exceptional organization. You are very inspiring. You go above and beyond with all of your content and your presence. Like we want very similar people, like sitting down to coffee. We would recruit and enjoy and look for a very similar person. That's a hard reality. So when you think about what's truly happening in the job market, you're not competing just against the guy down the street that runs a car wash. You're really competing on a bigger scale. And if you think that you're competing against, the fanciest company in town, if that's who you want to hire are the best people in your town, you probably are, but that takes a whole different level of commitment. And so if this, listening to this scares you off, like just imagine the person that's in town and does truly really cool things. Because like I said, my salespeople do okay, my support people do okay, but they're not rich. There's plenty of commercial lines producers I know that are doing much better. So we have to, it's not necessarily fun, but it is a reflection on how much do you prioritize this process. You have to realize that there is a globalization right now in the job market and in the employee market. And we're, kind of all competing with each other. Even if somebody doesn't like it, if you go to a happy hour, and you're like, well, everybody was nice there. I don't really like their product or I don't really like their company, but everybody was really nice. And a week later they meet with you and they're like, oh, I really like the company, but God, that guy is odd. Like, how is he going to be my manager? That is a reflection on everything that you're doing. So I think thinking about it through that lens that I'm not an insurance agent recruiting. I am a small business owner who has a sincere impact on my community. And I am truly trying to help your career and grow it is the lens that we should look through more.
And it is such a highly competitive environment, but if you can get in front of the candidate and talk to them about how insurance changed your life and how passionate you are about them being able to buy their first home or change the trajectory of their children's education and the things that are important to them, then there's nothing about this challenge that you can't overcome. And so, yeah, it is challenging. It's challenging to find the right people that will stick with your agency. You're going to spend hours training these people. So anything I can say that would help you get in front of the right person and help you get that ROI, knowing how much time you're going to put into developing them, then that's what I'm here to help spark ideas with. And just remember, no matter how daunting recruiting can feel, because it's such a long process and there's so many downs along the way and you think you have the right person and then it doesn't work out. No matter how challenging recruiting feels right now or daunting, just remember that there's no problem you can't solve and start with the first thing. So if that is, I'm going to get active on LinkedIn today for the first time in a long time. Or if it's, I do know that guy that helped me buy my Honda van was really, really good. I'm going to go have a Starbucks meeting with him. Just start there. Reach out to me if you have questions. I'm always happy to give support or encouragement anywhere I can. And it's a learning process. Recruiting is a lot of trial and error. And I love that when you hit a wall, you try to figure out a creative solution and a way around it. So Kat, thanks for being really transparent about the parts where it felt like a failure along the way, where you're like, hey, this role was really hard to recruit for and I didn't figure it out right away. Because I feel like the really neat thing about failure is it means we were trying something hard. So that's something to take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, I am not here to say that recruiting is easy. What is easy, and most of us already have as a skill though, is networking. You insure somebody's small business, or like I said, we asked our clients for an intern intro. You guys can do the same thing. Like if you need help with your marketing, which plenty of us do, we need somebody to work on our website or post on social for us, ask your clients. There's probably a kid that you insured their first car, 3 or 4 years ago, and a family, like you said, Katlyn, that you've been working with for years, that they now have a senior in college. And, I don't think insurance is sexy by any means. There's very few of us that intentionally go into it, but it is incredibly impactful. It's very heartfelt. And that's where I agree with your advice. Get yourself in front of people because they're going to see oh, this is a small business. This is a livelihood. This is like a whole style of people that I really could, get along well with. This is not so much different than being a waitress, than being a car salesman. This is still very identifiable skills that are already in your network. So be active in your network, spend time, ask people even to just network with you around coffee and drinks. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to be the end of the world. Most of us like beer and coffee. Take that opportunity and go out there and start there. And like you said, start with your LinkedIn. You want people, as you do try and introduce yourself, to be able to have some grasp of, oh, okay, Kat's not a total creep and loon. She's just a little bit weird. So that's a good place to start, is build yourself your own little brand or identity, at least, that people feel comfortable meeting with you. And then just meet with people. It does not have to start with recruiting them. There's a lot of people that I have recruited over the years that I met through like Columbus Young Professionals or Columbus in Sales. And the first 10 times I met them at little events here and there, it was never about them coming to work for me. So I think it doesn't have to be scary. It is. Like when it comes like pedal to the metal time, it's scary, but it gets scarier the less prepared we are. And the better prepared we are through networking and having our own identity as an agency, it gets less scary. So we can weigh those out. We can move the cons into pros ahead of time for us.
Well, I love that you're living that value to just figure it out, because recruiting can feel like a little bit of a mystery sometimes. And just like sales can, recruiting is so much like sales. And a common thread between your core values that stood out to me is the personal accountability, just taking like ownership for what's in front of you. And so thanks for like sharing that with us today. I thought that was really inspiring. And gosh, thank you so much for the recruiting tips, the ideas. I love what you're doing with team culture and that 360 peer review. So that just adds that additional layer of accountability to the team, but it really focuses on how we're impacting the people around us. So I think that's really neat. And kudos to you for the problems that you're solving for the agency world and within your company, and for the impact that you're making on these new interns who are getting exposed to the insurance industry for the very first time. And I'm so excited to see them put down roots in the industry, because it's such a life-changing career to have.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was teasing one of the managers earlier. They're like, I don't know if this is for so-and-so, already of the group. They really want to do fashion merchandising, and they're very impressive already at brand and marketing. I'm like, if 5 out of 9 of them like consider insurance after they graduate, and even 3 out of 9 of them like do some insurance or do some insure tech, I'm like, I'm good with that. That's like 33%, which 33% of people right now graduating college are not considering insurance. So if I can get my little cohort minions up to that level and they go work for some of our agencies or at the other insure techs that are here in Columbus, there's a lot of them, like I'm going to be really proud and really, really excited for them. So yeah.
Well, if you have anyone who's just intent on moving to Dallas, Texas, you know where to find us.
Anyone who freezes their little tush off this winter, I'm gonna be like, hey, how about we do our next winter internship? You're gonna go down and live with Caitlin down in Dallas. It'll be a lot warmer. You'll be a lot happier.
So funny. Well, thanks a bunch for coming on the show, Kat. Agents, thanks for tuning in and listening to us brainstorm about recruiting together. Let us know what's working for you. Send me a DM. Tell me, what you're doing to reach out to find talent in your area. You never know where you might find that next top performer for your agency. So thanks for reaching out, for following the show, tuning in on Mondays. It's been great to connect with you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you so much.